Leo. The chapter where you stop doubting yourself. There is a version of you that has been waiting, quietly, patiently, sometimes painfully, for this exact moment to arrive. And if you are here right now, listening to these words, then something inside you already knows it is time. Time to stop shrinking. Time to stop questioning whether you deserve the things your heart has been whispering about for years. This is the chapter where you stop doubting yourself. Not because someone finally gives you permission, but because you decide from this moment forward that the voice inside your head that says you are not enough has had its last word. Leo, you have spent so long carrying a fire inside you that sometimes it feels like it burns you more than it lights your way. You have smiled through exhaustion. You have led when you wanted to rest. You have given your energy to people who never gave it back. And through all of that, somewhere deep down, a small voice kept asking, am I really as strong as everyone thinks I am? Today, that question gets answered. And the answer might surprise you, because what is about to unfold is not just general advice. It is a mirror that will reflect back to you the parts of yourself you have been too afraid to look at, and the parts you have forgotten were there. Stay with me through every single word, because by the end of this, you will not be the same person who pressed play. Tip 1. Your doubt was never yours to begin with. Let me tell you something that might shift everything for you. The doubt you carry. The one that sits in your chest every time you are about to take a bold step. That doubt was never yours. It was given to you. It was handed down through years of watching other people play small. It was absorbed through conversations where someone told you to be realistic. It was planted in moments where your excitement was met with silence instead of celebration. And over time, you started to believe that this cautious, hesitant voice was your own wisdom speaking. But it was not. It was fear dressed up as logic. Leo, your natural state is confidence. Not arrogance. Not blind optimism. But a deep, grounded knowing that you are capable of handling whatever comes your way. That is your birthright. That is the energy you were born with. And somewhere along the road, that energy got buried under layers of other people's expectations, other people's limitations, and other people's comfort zones. Think about the moments in your life when you felt most alive. Were they moments of caution? Were they moments where you held back and played it safe? No, they were moments where you leaped. Moments where you trusted yourself even when the ground beneath you was uncertain. Moments where you said yes before your mind had time to talk you out of it. That is who you really are. And the reason you have been feeling stuck, heavy, or disconnected lately is not because something is wrong with you. It is because you have been living in a version of yourself that does not fit anymore. Like wearing a coat that was made for someone else. It covers you, but it suffocates you. This chapter is about taking that coat off. It is about standing in the open air of your own truth and letting the world see you without the armor you thought you needed. The doubt you have been carrying is not protecting you. It is imprisoning you. And the key to that prison has been in your hand the entire time. You just forgot it was there. So here is what I want you to understand before we go any further. Every single piece of guidance that follows is designed to help you reconnect with the version of yourself that does not hesitate. The version that walks into a room and changes the energy. The version that makes decisions from a place of power, not from a place of fear. That version has not gone anywhere. It has just been waiting for you to call it back. And today you are making that call. The doubt ends here. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Right now, in this moment, as you hear these words, you are done letting borrowed fear run your life. And I know that might sound like a bold declaration. I know a part of you is already thinking, but what if I fall back into the old patterns? What if the doubt comes creeping back? And that is a fair question. But here is the thing. Doubt will always try to knock on your door. The difference is that from now on, you will not be the one opening it. You will hear the knock. You will recognize the sound. And you will choose to walk in the other direction. That is the shift. That is where freedom lives. Not in the absence of doubt, but in the refusal to let it lead. What comes next will show you exactly how to make that shift permanent. Tip 2. Stop apologizing for taking up space. One of the most damaging habits you have developed over the years, and you may not even realize you are doing it, is apologizing for being yourself. You apologize for having strong opinions. You apologize for wanting more than what is in front of you. You apologize for your intensity, your passion, your volume, your presence. And every time you do that, you shrink a little more. You fold yourself into a smaller and smaller box, hoping that if you make yourself compact enough, people will find you easier to deal with. But Leo, you were never meant to be easy to deal with. You were meant to be unforgettable. There is a difference between being considerate and being invisible. Consideration means you are aware of others. Invisibility means you have erased yourself. And too many times you have crossed that line without realizing it. You have walked into a room full of people and immediately started scanning for how to make everyone else comfortable. You have dimmed your enthusiasm because someone seemed unimpressed. You have held your tongue when every cell in your body wanted to speak. And then you wondered why you felt so empty afterward. The emptiness comes from self-abandonment. Every time you choose someone else's comfort over your own authenticity, you abandon yourself. And that abandonment accumulates. It builds up like sediment at the bottom of a river until one day you wake up, and you do not recognize the person staring back at you in the mirror. This is the moment where that pattern breaks. You do not need to become louder. You do not need to become aggressive or demanding. You simply need to stop shrinking. Stop making yourself smaller so that other people do not have to confront their own insecurities. Your light does not diminish anyone else's. And if someone feels threatened by your brightness, that is their work to do, not yours. Think about a lion in the wild. It does not apologize for its roar. It does not look around nervously before it walks. It does not ask permission to take up space. It simply exists in the fullness of what it is, and everything around it adjusts. That is your energy. That is what lives inside you. And the more you try to tame it, the more restless and frustrated you become. So from this point forward, I want you to practice something radical. I want you to practice unapologetic presence. When you walk into a room, walk in fully. When you speak, speak without disclaimers. When you feel something strongly, let yourself feel it without immediately wondering if it is too much. You are not too much. You have never been too much. The people who told you that were simply not enough for you. And that is not a judgment on them. It is a recognition of the truth. You deserve spaces that can hold all of you. Not just the polished, pleasant, easy-to-digest version. All of you. The messy parts. The fierce parts. The tender parts that you hide because vulnerability feels dangerous. All of it deserves to breathe. And in the sections that follow, you will learn exactly how to create those spaces in your life without burning bridges or pushing people away. There is an art to standing in your full power while still remaining warm. And you are about to master it. If what you're hearing feels accurate, imagine what could happen if you applied this energy intentionally for 21 consecutive days. That's exactly what the 21-day program in the pinned comment is built for. Daily guidance, focused direction, and real momentum. If you're tired of staying in the same cycle, this is your structure. Tip 3. Loyalty without boundaries is self-destruction. Here is a truth that Leo almost never wants to hear. Your loyalty is killing you. Not because loyalty itself is bad. Loyalty is one of the most beautiful qualities a person can have. But loyalty without boundaries is not loyalty at all. It is self-sacrifice. And there is nothing noble about destroying yourself for people who would not cross the street for you. You have a pattern, and I need you to see it clearly. Someone enters your life. They show you attention, admiration, maybe even love. And because you have such a generous heart, you latch on. You invest. You give them your time, your energy, your emotional bandwidth. You show up for them at 2 in the morning. You defend them when no one else will. You make excuses for behavior that you would never tolerate from yourself. And then slowly something shifts. The phone calls become one-sided. The effort becomes unequal. The energy flows in one direction. Out of you. But you stay. You stay because leaving feels like failure. You stay because you remember how good it was in the beginning. You stay because your pride will not let you admit that you chose wrong. And every day you stay past the expiration date of that connection, you lose a piece of yourself that you will have to fight to get back. This is not about being cold. This is not about closing your heart. This is about being wise with where you place your warmth. A fire that tries to heat every room in the house will eventually burn out. But a fire that is contained, protected, and directed, that fire can last forever. You need boundaries. Real ones. Not the kind you announce on a good day and forget about when someone pushes back. The kind that are woven into the fabric of how you live. The kind that do not need to be shouted because they are felt in your energy. When someone crosses a line, you do not need to explode. You do not need to make a speech. You simply need to respond differently than you have before. Instead of absorbing the hurt and carrying on, you pause. You acknowledge what happened, and you choose your next step from a place of self-respect rather than desperation. This will feel uncomfortable at first. People who are used to your endless generosity will be confused when you start pulling back. Some will accuse you of changing, and you know what? They are right. You are changing. You are evolving into someone who loves themselves as fiercely as they love everyone else. And if that scares some people away, then those were not your people to begin with. The ones who truly love you will adjust. They will rise to meet the new version of you. They will respect the lines you draw because they understand that a person who respects themselves is a person worth knowing. So take a breath. Think about the relationships in your life right now. Where are you giving more than you are receiving? Where are you staying out of habit rather than happiness? Where are you confusing loyalty with fear of being alone? Those answers will tell you everything you need to know about where your boundaries need to go. And once you know where they go, place them there. Firmly, gently, but without apology. Because the moment you start protecting your energy with the same intensity you have been giving it away, you will feel a shift. A lightness. A sense of freedom you have not felt in years. That is not selfishness. That is self-preservation. And you have earned every bit of it. What comes next might challenge you even more, because it will force you to look at the invisible force that has been silently keeping you stuck for longer than you realize. Tip 4. Perfectionism is just fear wearing a mask. There is something you need to hear, and it might sting a little. That thing you call high standards, that relentless pursuit of perfection, that refusal to put something out into the world unless it is flawless. It is not excellence. It is fear. Fear of being judged. Fear of being seen as anything less than extraordinary. Fear of proving right every person who ever doubted you. And that fear has been holding you hostage for longer than you want to admit. Leo, you have projects you never started because the timing was not right. You have ideas you never shared because they were not polished enough. You have words you never said because you could not find the perfect way to say them. And while you sat there refining and rehearsing and waiting for the ideal moment, life kept moving. Opportunities passed. Doors closed. And the only person left standing in the hallway was you, holding a perfect plan for a moment that no longer exists. Perfectionism feels productive. That is the trap. It disguises itself as discipline, as excellence, as having standards. But underneath all of that, it is just another form of avoidance. Because if you never finish, you never have to face the possibility of failure. If you never put it out there, no one can criticize it. And if no one can criticize it, your ego stays safe. But your soul does not. Your soul is starving for expression. It does not care about perfection. It cares about honesty. It cares about movement. It cares about the raw, unfiltered act of creating something and releasing it into the world without knowing how it will be received. That is where your real power lies. Not in the polished, curated version of yourself that you show to the world, but in the messy, brave, imperfect version that dares to try. Think about the people you admire most. The ones who inspire you. The ones whose work moves you. Do you think they waited until everything was perfect? Do you think they had it all figured out before they took the first step? Of course not. They stumbled. They failed publicly. They released things that were not ready. And then they adjusted, learned, and kept going. That is what courage looks like. It does not look like having the right answer. It looks like being willing to be wrong. So here is what I want you to do. I want you to pick one thing. Just one. That you have been holding back because it does not feel ready. And I want you to release it. Put it out into the world. Say the thing. Start the project. Make the call. Send the message. Not because it is perfect, but because you have spent enough of your life waiting for a moment that does not exist. The imperfect version of your dream is infinitely more valuable than the perfect version that stays locked inside your head. Let it out. Let it breathe. Let it be seen. And watch what happens when you stop trying to control every detail and start trusting the process. You will discover something remarkable. The world does not punish imperfection. It rewards bravery. It celebrates the people who show up before they are ready. It opens doors for the ones who knock even when their hands are shaking. That could be you. That should be you. And after what I share next, you will understand why letting go of the need to be flawless is not just helpful, it is essential for your survival. Tip 5. You do not need to be strong every single day. There is a lie that has been following you around for most of your life, and it goes something like this. You have to be strong. Always. No matter what. No breaks. No weakness. No crumbling. Just strength all day, every day for everyone around you. And you have believed it. You have built your entire identity around being the person who holds it together. The one who shows up with a smile even when your world is falling apart. The one who carries other people's burdens on top of your own without ever asking for help. The one who everyone leans on but no one thinks to check on. And you wear that role like armor. But here is the thing about armor. It is heavy. And eventually, even the strongest back starts to buckle under the weight. Leo, strength is not the absence of vulnerability. It is the courage to be vulnerable. It is the ability to say I am not okay today, and still know that you are worthy of love and respect. It is the willingness to let someone else carry the weight for a while so that you can rest. Not because you are weak, but because you are human. You have been running on empty for longer than you realize. The exhaustion you feel is not just physical. It is emotional. It is spiritual. It is the accumulated cost of years of performing strength when what you really needed was softness. And the world will not fall apart if you take a breath. The people in your life will not abandon you if you show them your cracks. In fact, the opposite is usually true. When you let people see your real self, the tired, uncertain, sometimes scared self, you give them permission to do the same. And that is when real connection happens. Not in the moments of perfection, not in the highlight reels, but in the quiet, honest moments where two people look at each other and say, I see you, and I am not going anywhere. You deserve that kind of connection, but you will never find it if you keep hiding behind the mask of invincibility. The bravest thing you can do right now is not to push harder. It is to soften, to let the walls come down just enough that the right people can find their way in. You do not have to do it all at once. You do not have to make a grand gesture. Start small. The next time someone asks how you are doing, tell them the truth, not the rehearsed version, the real one. And notice how it feels to be seen, really seen, not for the role you play but for the person you are underneath it all. That is where your healing begins. And that healing is not a detour from your strength. It is the foundation of it. Because the strongest people you will ever meet are not the ones who never broke. They are the ones who broke and allowed themselves to be rebuilt. They are the ones who sat in the wreckage of their hardest moments and said, I will not pretend this does not hurt. They are the ones who chose honesty over performance. And that choice, that brave and terrifying choice, is what gave them a kind of strength that no amount of pretending could ever produce. That is the strength that is waiting for you on the other side of vulnerability. Real, unshakable, rooted strength that does not need to be performed because it simply is. You have earned the right to rest. You have earned the right to be held. And the next section will show you how to start building a life where rest is not a reward for hard work. It is a non-negotiable part of how you live. Tip 6. What you tolerate is what you teach. Pay close attention to this one, because it has the power to change every relationship in your life from this moment forward. What you tolerate is what you teach. Read that again in your mind. Every time you accept behavior that hurts you, you are sending a message, not just to the other person but to yourself. You are telling them that this is acceptable, and you are telling yourself that you do not deserve better. It is not a conscious choice. It is not something you sit down and decide. It happens gradually, quietly, in the small moments that seem insignificant at the time. Someone makes a comment that stings and you laugh it off. Someone cancels on you for the third time and you say it is fine. Someone takes credit for your work, and you stay silent because you do not want to make a scene. And each one of those moments, as small as they seem, sets a precedent. It creates a pattern. It teaches the people around you exactly how far they can go before you push back. And if you never push back, they will keep going. Not necessarily because they are bad people, but because humans naturally expand into the space they are given. If you give someone unlimited access to your time, they will take it. If you give someone permission to disrespect you, they will use it. If you show someone that your boundaries are flexible, they will bend them until there is nothing left. This is not about blame. It is about awareness. You cannot control what other people do, but you can control what you allow in your life. And right now, I want you to think about the areas where you have been tolerating too much. Maybe it is a relationship where the effort is completely one-sided. Maybe it is a situation where you feel undervalued but you keep showing up anyway. Maybe it is a pattern of saying yes when every fiber of your being wants to say no. Whatever it is costing you more than you realize. Because every moment you spend tolerating something that drains you is a moment you are not spending on something that fills you. And Leo, you were born to be filled. You were born to overflow with purpose, with joy, with passion, with creativity. But you cannot overflow if there are holes in the bottom of your vessel. Those holes are the things you tolerate. And the only way to fill your vessel is to seal them. Start with one. Pick the smallest, easiest thing you have been tolerating and address it. You do not have to be dramatic about it. You do not have to make a speech. You just have to make a different choice. And then another. And then another. Until one day, you wake up and realize that the life around you has completely transformed. Not because the world changed, but because you changed what you were willing to accept from it. And here is the part that will surprise you the most. The people who stay. The ones who respect the new lines you draw. Those connections will become deeper and more meaningful than anything you have ever experienced. Because relationships built on mutual respect are the only ones worth having. Everything else is just noise dressed up as companionship. You deserve the real thing. And the only way to get it is to stop settling for less. What follows next will take this even further and show you how to free yourself from the one thing that holds more power over you than any other person ever could. Tip 7. Your next chapter does not need permission from your past. This might be the most freeing thing you hear today. Your past does not own you. Your mistakes do not define you. The failures, the wrong turns, the relationships that did not work out, the opportunities you missed. None of those things get a vote in what happens next. But Leo, you have been letting them vote anyway. Every time you think about starting something new, a voice from the past shows up. It reminds you of the last time you tried and failed. It shows you the memory of someone laughing at your dreams. It replays the moment you trusted the wrong person or invested in the wrong thing. And before you know it, you have talked yourself out of moving forward. Not because the future is not bright, but because the past is too loud. Here is what you need to understand. The past is a place of reference, not a place of residence. You are supposed to learn from it, not live in it. And there is a difference between carrying wisdom from your experiences and carrying wounds. Wisdom makes you sharper. Wounds make you smaller. Right now, you are carrying wounds that you have been calling wisdom. You say you are cautious when really you are afraid. You say you are realistic when really you are defeated. You say you have learned your lesson when really you have just stopped trying. And none of that is who you are. You are not someone who gives up. You are not someone who lets the past dictate the future. You are a Leo. And Leos are known for one thing above all else. They rise. No matter how many times they get knocked down, they get back up. It is not about never falling. It is about never staying down. So whatever happened before this moment, whatever you are holding on to, that is keeping you tethered to a version of yourself you have outgrown. Let it go. Not because it did not matter. It did matter. It shaped you, taught you. It made you who you are today. But it does not get to decide who you are tomorrow. Your next chapter starts with a blank page. And the pen is in your hand. You can write anything. You can go anywhere. You can become anyone. The only thing stopping you is the story you keep telling yourself about who you were. And that story is over. This one is just beginning. And it is going to be the best one yet. Not because life owes you anything, but because you have done the work to understand who you really are. And that understanding is the most powerful fuel in the world. So close the old book. Set it on the shelf with gratitude and respect. And open the new one with both hands, with a full heart, and with the kind of courage that only comes from someone who has survived their own darkness and chosen to walk toward the light anyway. You are not who you were last year. You are not who you were last month. You are not even who you were when you started listening to this message. You are evolving in real time. And every moment of evolution deserves to be met with grace, not guilt. So stop punishing yourself for the chapters that did not go the way you planned. They were not wasted. They were necessary. And they brought you here to this moment where everything is about to change. Tip 8. You attract what you believe you deserve. This is one of the most important things you will ever understand, so let it sink in deeply. You do not attract what you want. You do not attract what you ask for. You attract what you believe you deserve. And if somewhere deep inside you, there is a belief that says you are not worthy of great love, abundant success, genuine happiness, or lasting peace, then no amount of wishing will bring those things to your door. Because your beliefs are like a filter. They determine what gets through and what gets blocked. If you believe you deserve struggle, you will find struggle everywhere. If you believe you deserve mediocre relationships, you will attract people who give you just enough to keep you hanging on but never enough to make you feel truly fulfilled. If you believe you deserve to work twice as hard as everyone else for half the reward, that is exactly the pattern that will keep repeating in your life. Leo, this is not about positive thinking or wishful manifestation. This is about the deep subconscious programming that drives every decision you make. And most of that programming was installed before you were old enough to question it. It came from the people who raised you. It came from the environments you grew up in. It came from the experiences that shaped your view of the world before you had the tools to shape it yourself. And now, as an adult, you are walking around with someone else's beliefs running your life. Someone told you that you had to earn love. Someone showed you that success only comes through suffering. Someone demonstrated that happiness is temporary and pain is permanent. And those lessons burrowed deep into your subconscious and became the invisible rules by which you live. But here is the beautiful truth. You can rewrite those rules. Starts with awareness. Start paying attention to the patterns in your life. Where do you keep ending up in the same situation? What kinds of people do you keep attracting? What results do you keep getting despite your best efforts to change? Those patterns are not random. They are reflections of your deepest beliefs. And once you see them clearly, you can begin to change them. Not overnight, not with a single affirmation, but with consistent, patient, deliberate work. Every time you catch yourself thinking, "I do not deserve this," pause. Challenge that thought. Ask yourself where it came from. Ask yourself if it is really true. And then replace it with something that serves you better. Not a fantasy. Not an empty platitude. A genuine, grounded belief that reflects the truth of who you are and what you are capable of. Because Leo, you are capable of extraordinary things. You always have been. The only thing standing between you and the life you want is the belief that you cannot have it. Remove that belief and watch how quickly everything begins to shift. The opportunities will not change. The people will not change. The world will not change. But you will change. And when you change, everything around you changes in response. That is the power of self-worth. That is the power you have been sitting on all along. Some people watch. Others transform. If you want to be in the second group, the 21-day guide in the pinned comment gives you a clear step-by-step process aligned with your sign. This isn't about waiting. It's about moving. Tip 9. Silence is not emptiness. It is where clarity lives. You have spent so much of your life in motion. Doing, creating, leading, speaking, performing, producing. And all of that is beautiful. All of that is part of who you are. But somewhere in the constant movement, you lost access to something essential. You lost access to stillness. And without stillness, there is no clarity. There is only noise. Leo, when was the last time you sat in complete silence? Not the silence of scrolling through your phone. Not the silence of watching a screen. Real silence. The kind where there is nothing between you and your own thoughts. The kind where you can hear your heartbeat, your breathing, the quiet hum of your own existence. If you cannot remember, that tells you everything you need to know. You have been running. Not towards something. Away from something. And what you have been running from is yourself. Not the public version of yourself that everyone sees. The private version. The one who has doubts. The one who has fears. The one who sometimes lies awake wondering if any of this matters. That version of you needs your attention. Not your judgment. Not your criticism. Your attention. When you sit in silence, you give yourself the space to hear what your soul has been trying to tell you. And your soul has been trying to tell you things for a long time. It has been whispering about the path you are meant to walk. It has been nudging you toward decisions that your mind has been overriding. It has been offering you answers to questions you did not even know you were asking. But you cannot hear any of that when you are constantly surrounded by noise and distraction, and the endless demands of daily life. Silence is not something you find. It is something you create. You have to carve it out deliberately. You have to protect it fiercely. Because the world will fill every empty space with noise if you let it. Your phone will buzz. Your responsibilities will call. Your mind will race with all the things you should be doing instead of sitting still. And you have to resist all of that. Not forever. Just for a few minutes each day. Give yourself the gift of stillness. Sit somewhere quiet. Close your eyes. Breathe. And listen. Not for some grand revelation. Not for a thundering voice from the heavens. But for the small, quiet knowing that rises from deep within you when everything else falls away. That knowing is your compass. It has always been there. It has always been pointing you in the right direction. You have just been too busy to notice. So start noticing. Start creating space for silence in your daily life. Even 5 minutes is enough. 5 minutes of real, genuine, undistracted silence. And in those 5 minutes, you will find more clarity than you have found in months of thinking, planning, and worrying. Because the answers you are looking for are not out there. They are in here. Inside the stillness that you have been avoiding. Go there. Sit with yourself. And discover what has been waiting for you all along. You might be surprised by what you find. You might find forgiveness you did not know you needed. You might find a dream you thought you had outgrown. You might find a peace so profound that it makes every noisy, chaotic, overwhelming day feel a little more manageable. Whatever you find, it will be yours. And it will be exactly what you needed. The silence is not your enemy, Leo. It never was. It is your most trusted ally. And the moment you start treating it that way is the moment your entire life begins to settle into a rhythm that finally feels like home. Tip 10. The world needs your fire. Do not let it go out. We have come a long way together in this message. And I want you to understand something before we go any further. Everything I have shared with you, every word, every insight, every challenge, it all comes down to one fundamental truth. The world needs you. Not a diluted version of you. Not the version you think people want to see. The real, raw, blazing, full-powered version of you that you have been keeping locked away because you were afraid it was too much. Leo, your fire is not a flaw. It is your gift. That intensity you feel, that passion that burns in your chest, that drive that keeps you awake at night thinking about what could be. That is not something to manage or contain. That is something to unleash. But wisely, with intention, with direction. Because fire without direction is destruction, but fire with direction is transformation. And you are standing at the crossroads right now between those two paths. You can continue to suppress your fire, to dim your light, to play the smaller version of yourself that makes other people comfortable. And if you do that, the fire will not go away. It will just turn inward. It will burn you instead of fueling you. It will show up as frustration, as restlessness, as a constant feeling that something is missing even when everything on the surface looks fine. Or, you can choose a different path. You can decide that from this moment forward, you are going to honor the fire inside you. You are going to give it room to breathe. You are going to point it at the things that matter most to you and let it burn through every obstacle, every doubt, every fear that has been standing in your way. That is the choice in front of you. And it is a choice you have to make every single day. Not once. Every day. Because the world will try to put your fire out. People will try to dim it. Circumstances will try to smother it. And on some days you will be tempted to let them. But do not let them. On the days when your fire feels small, protect it. Cup your hands around it like a candle in the wind and shield it until it grows strong again. On the days when your fire feels overwhelming, direct it. Channel it into something creative, something meaningful, something that leaves the world a little brighter than you found it. And on the days when your fire feels just right, those glorious, powerful, unstoppable days when everything clicks and you feel like the truest version of yourself, let it blaze. Let it light up every room you walk into. Let it warm every person who crosses your path. Let it remind the world what happens when a Leo decides to stop playing small and start living at full volume. You were born for this. Every struggle, every setback, every moment of doubt was preparing you for this chapter. The chapter where you stop asking for permission. The chapter where you stop waiting for the right moment. The chapter where you finally understand that you are the right moment. So go forward from here with your head high, your heart open, and your fire burning. The world has been waiting for you to show up like this. Do not keep it waiting any longer. And remember, your fire does not need to look like anyone else's. It does not need to match the pace, the shape, or the intensity of what you see around you. Your fire is yours. It burns in its own way at its own speed with its own unique light. And that is exactly what makes it irreplaceable. There is no one else on this earth who can carry what you carry, shine the way you shine, or love the way you love. That is not flattery. That is fact. And the sooner you accept it, the sooner you will stop trying to fit into spaces that were never built for someone like you, and start building the spaces that are. And now, as this message comes to a close, I want you to take a moment to breathe. Really breathe. A deep, intentional breath that fills your entire body with air and reminds you that you are alive. You are here. You made it through everything that tried to break you, and you are still standing. That is not a small thing. That is everything. Over the course of this message, we have walked through some of the deepest truths about who you are as a Leo. You have been reminded that your doubt was never yours. You have been challenged to stop apologizing for the space you take up in this world. You have been shown that loyalty without boundaries leads to self-destruction. You have confronted the perfectionism that has been quietly keeping you paralyzed. You have been given permission to be soft, to rest, to let the armor down. You have learned that what you tolerate becomes your standard. You have been freed from the prison of your past. You have discovered that the life you attract reflects what you believe you deserve. You have found the power of silence. And you have been reminded that the fire inside you is not something to fear. It is something to celebrate. All of these lessons point to the same destination: a life lived without apology, a life built on self-respect, self-trust, and the unshakable knowledge that you are worthy of every good thing that comes your way. That life is not some distant dream. It is available to you right now, today, in this very moment. The only thing standing between you and that life is the decision to claim it. And Leo, you have never been afraid of decisions. You have just been waiting for the right one. This is it. This is the moment. This is the chapter where you stop doubting yourself and start living like the extraordinary being you have always been. You have two options after this video: close it and hope things shift, or decide that the next 21 days will be different. If you choose the second, the structured 21-day transformation aligned with your sign is waiting in the pinned comment. The energy is already moving, the only question is whether you are.